Well, hello everybody. Welcome to this video. I am Jonathan, Director of ProGood, with my dad here, microbiologist John Ellerman, who's got quite a bit of experience in probiotics and gut health and everything microbiology. And we're going to look at something interesting today that not a lot of people talk about or realize. It's not as popular as, say, probiotics in gut health in terms of bad bacteria or gastro or anything along those lines that we usually think when we think of probiotics and gut health, but more specifically athletes. There's a lot of research out there that actually looks at increased performance in athletes by using probiotics. So I wanted to look at that. I was at an event down in Wollongong at Tri Wollongong, was talking to the event organizer down there, Emma, and we thought it might be worth doing a video to talk to athletes on the importance of probiotics and gut health when it comes to being an athlete and being at the top of your game. Dad, there's a couple of things. Now, one thing we'll get, but firstly, what is a probiotic? Short and simple.
In simple terms, a probiotic is a good bacterium for the gut.
To suppress bad bacteria.
To suppress, that's the function of them, is to, well, there's multiple functions: suppressing bad bacteria, stimulating and strengthening the immune system, production of neurotransmitter components like GABA and so on. So there's a whole range of things that the probiotics do. And then there's prebiotics, which is the fiber that feeds selectively, more or less, the probiotics, boosts their numbers to high levels. And so when you combine the two, you get a synbiotic because of the synergy between the probiotics and the prebiotics, and it's much more effective than just a probiotic on its own. So
hence the reason with ProGood, we have the probiotics and the prebiotics to boost the probiotics to really high numbers, because there are trillions of bugs down there that are affecting our health, microbiome, our performance as an athlete, whatever it might be. So high levels of probiotics boosted by prebiotics to then sort the situation out. One of the obvious ones, we've got athletes, got an international Australian team, which I'm not allowed to mention the name, but they're one of our biggest sporting teams use the probiotics. That's an obvious one, not just from a performance perspective, but from, the point of view that when they're traveling, when they're doing international games, for example, you don't want food poisoning when you get to a country that might have potentially bad bacteria in the water or in the food, and you want your athletes as 100% as they can be. So that's more of an obvious one. But this paper, one of the papers we're going to look at is in BRJ Sportsmed. Reversal in fatigued athletes of a defect in interferon gamma secretion after administration of Lactobacillus acidophilus. Lactobacillus acidophilus, we have a very good strain of that in ProGood. Why is it that, they say here, fatigue and impaired performance in athletes is well recognized and has been loosely linked to overtraining. Now, I think a lot of athletes can, especially when they want to be the best they can be, overtraining is a thing. Reduced concentration of IgA, which we're getting into the immune system there, in the saliva, and increased shedding of Epstein-Barr virus, or EBV, has been associated with intense training in elite athletes. Break that down in layman's terms.
Okay. The first thing to know is that the Epstein-Barr virus is the virus that causes glandular fever. Now, 90% of the world's population has been exposed to and is carrying that virus.
Why is it so predominant in so many? Why have we all had that virus before?
Well, it's called the kissing disease, isn't it?
Yeah.
Glandular fever. A lot of people will have acquired that virus without getting the symptoms of glandular fever. If it's that widespread, 90%. You and I probably haven't had glandular fever per se, but 90% chance that we are carrying that virus. And what happens in athletes is that they're stressing their immune system. The immune system is what's keeping that Epstein-Barr virus under control, okay? And directly you suppress the immune system with stress, then the Epstein-Barr virus says, hello, here's an opportunity. I'll multiply, cause problems. And the major cause or symptom that it causes is chronic fatigue. Okay, so these papers, specifically with the LAFTL10 lactobacillus, it was called a Lactobacillus acidophilus when it was first named by me. As a matter of fact, we were using biochemical tests to name that organism, but in later years, it's been reclassified as a Helveticus because of genetic techniques now that are available to be more definitive.
Genetically the same thing, just chuck another name on it, basically.
Exactly.
So I don't see the point in, but
it's a bit annoying because when the taxonomists change the name of something, it kind of separates it from all the research because nobody can see that it's
even though it's exactly the same bug.
It's exactly the same. But anyway.
So it's like having a giraffe and then going, oh no, let's call it a tall neck animal.
That's right. Something like that. Anyway,
What's the point?
Yeah. So Professor Clancy used this Lactobacillus lactobacillus and showed that he could reverse that chronic fatigue when athletes were hitting the wall from overtraining.
Okay, why is that? What are the mechanisms behind that? Why? I guess a lot of people might be trying to put in their head is the good bacteria for the gut. How does that reduce fatigue? Now, the virus you're saying, so it's help strengthening the immune system.
Well, the first line of defense in the mucosal system, where a lot of these viruses act, and that's where you require a virus. Like if you're going to catch COVID, it's going to go in through your mucous membranes. Well, the first line of defense in the mucous membranes is IgA, immunoglobulin A. And there are also things called interferons, and interferon gamma is particularly effective against viral replication. And these are the things that get suppressed when your immune system is overstressed. And what has been found is if you consistently take this particular strain of probiotic that's in ProGood, then you can actually stimulate the immune system to produce those antivirals, if you like, at the level of a person who is normal that hasn't had that stress or hasn't had the virus. So that's why you can actually reverse the symptoms of the virus with this product.
Yep. Gotcha. So it's amazing how it's not a direct, when it comes to gut health, it's not a direct thought process. Is it of like taking a protein powder or a pre-workout, say, to boost your performance. It's
just about every concept we come up with is an oversimplification of an extremely complex situation.
Yeah.
We are just fearfully and wonderfully made. We're highly complex, and we tend to learn one thing, and I've been victim of this too. You learn, that's the answer, and then you find it's only one part of the answer.
Humans are complex.
Yeah, and probiotics and the interaction they have with the human system is complex, and it's at various levels from, as I said before, suppression of bad bugs, and that effect is happening also via the immune system, because our good bacteria are then talking to the immune system via the Peyer's patches, which are receptors in our gut, and strengthening the immune system and the immune response. So it's multifactorial. And as I said before, also, it's the probiotics are producing components of neurotransmitters even. So people who are anxious and depressed are likely to have low levels of gamma-aminobutyric acid, GABA, and that neurotransmitter suppresses the overexcitation of nerves, stops you getting too stressed and so on. And so those components are being produced by probiotics in the gut. Yeah, so it's complex.
Of course.
The bottom line is if you want to be healthy, take a probiotic all the time, and particularly if you're an athlete where you need to be
at the top of your game.
You need your system optimized for performance. Then you need to include probiotics as part of that, and particularly strains that have been shown to do good things for the immune system.
Yeah. I think, the more conversations, and look, I've got Olympic athletes using the product, NRL football players that have used the product, from Dave Shillington, back in the days when he was with the Canberra Raiders, a few other NRL players, a Formula One driver has used it on a trip to Africa. And he says it saved his trip. I'm not going to mention his name, but said how because that was gastro though.
He was also with an Olympic medalist.
That's exactly who's using the product consistently now.
That's right. And,
loves it.
It totally, within 1 hour, they said their food poisoning symptoms disappeared on that product. Yeah.
Lovely. So next, we're talking about recovery there, reversal of fatigue. We've mentioned some things about prevention, so that if you've got a race meet coming up, you want to be at your best, when your microbiome, your guts, your immune system, everything firing on all fours. But then impact. The impact, there's another paper here that was in the Environment Res Pub Health, impact of probiotics on the performance of endurance athletes. Now, this is interesting for triathletes, endurance athletes. I mean, endurance is important in a lot of sports, if not all sports. But, they're saying here, the dietary supplements are increasingly being used by athletes to improve different aspects such as athletic performance, upper respiratory tract infections, the immune system, oxidative stress, GI problems. So again, that's the preventative thing. And they sort of conclude here saying benefits were found that probiotics could indirectly influence sports performance by improving other parameters such as immune system, response to URTIs, and decrease oxidative stress, as well as the monitoring of scheduled workouts. Now, this paper was more specifically based on when we spoke about the IgAs and boosting the immune system to recover. What's the impact of probiotics on the performance of endurance athletes? More about.
Well, perhaps a lot of them might be impeded by catching a bit of a cold, quote unquote. A bit of a cold. Well, that's an upper respiratory tract infection, and these probiotics suppress that. Look, I've been taking our product in various forms for 20 years. And if I ever think I'm getting a cold, it's gone by the next day. I've never really had a cold, a significant cold, in 20 years, So it definitely helps suppress those upper respiratory tract infections. And the science is there if you care to look for it, that
I will link all the papers so people can refer to them and look at themselves. But this is, I guess, this paper is more looking at the benefits of found that probiotics could indirectly influence sports.
Yeah.
So there's so many different mechanisms in the body that the immune system of probiotics can support. Yeah. So it's not a direct increase in jumping or pushing yourself up.
I'm thinking about the Katie Tooley paper where...
Defence Force.
Yeah, Defence Forces, where they found that it improved memory recall and short-term and long-term memory. So it's actually improving brain function.
Which is important in a lot of sports too.
Yeah.
If not all sports.
Well, I guess so. It must be, you've got to keep mentally focused as well. And apparently having probiotics like ours actually does improve your mental aspects of the game as well,
Yeah.
So, as I said, it's multifactorial, and people need to be on it if they want to be performing at their best.
And everything begins with the bacteria in the gut.
That's right.
Hippocrates.
2,400 years ago.
Yeah. And I'll share some more studies that we have here, with some screenshots and some links as well. But in a nutshell, that was it. Is there anything you want to expand on, Dad, that you think athletes should be aware of when it comes to gut health?
Really, a good symbiotic should be part of their daily routine. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, we'll link all the papers at the bottom. Like the video, subscribe, comment if you've got any extra questions. I'll link all the papers there so everyone's got access to them. And have a fantastic day. Thanks for your help, Dad.
No problem.
Yeah. See you later.
See ya.